This is the Nightbird, Alison Steele, brought to you by the Army Reserve, and we'll be on the inside track with Joe Cocker after this. Joe Cocker, who's been away much too long, and he's had some solo albums now, and this one he's got that wonderful fun cut, and it's really great to see you again, Joe. This is like a whole second career for you, isn't it?
Um, well, that's the way people have been looking at it these days, calling it a comeback once more, but...
I don't know if it's a comeback, but it's a whole, I don't think you've ever really been away, but it's a second climb in a way for you. Do you feel that way?
I suppose you could put it that way. I mean, the last sort of record I had that anyone, made any sort of impact was You Are So Beautiful,
Yeah. Well, you had great cuts in that album, but I'm talking about the difference between now and when Mad Dogs and Englishman was made. I mean, you were just, one of the superstars, and you have now a definite place in music that will never be relinquished.
On the rock pile, yes.
No. You'll listen. You're there for posterity with all the early albums and what you contributed to rock. But in essence, you are creating a whole new image now. Well, the cover of your album shows it. The tie, the cropped hair,
well,
the
that was
vest.
a little tongue-in-cheek. I don't think you'll see me dressed up like that too often.
I would not like to see you on stage that way, but I think it's tongue-in-cheek, but it also has an essence of a suggestion there that it's a different Joe Cocker.
Right.
How different is this Joe Cocker?
I know. Alison, I'm just trying to get my direction a little more on course, Songwriting is the only thing my hang-up these days.
Why?
Because I don't have a writing partner, Like with the days of Mad Dogs and all that, I was working with Chris Stainton.
Yeah.
The keyboard player.
Yes. Where's Chris now?
He's back in England with a group called Boxer, I believe.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
And he just doesn't want to write.
Well,
he's writing with them.
He said he didn't want to do two things at once, right?
Yeah, I can understand. So you're actively looking for someone?
Well, maybe the band I've got now, eventually we can get around to it, but just with the road work, we haven't taken time to.
Well, maybe, who knows? There are an awful lot of talented people out there, and maybe somebody will turn up that we can put you together with.
Yeah, hope so.
Joe, what happened in your own, we'd like your own description about what happened to the popularity of Joe Cocker after the first two albums, Friends, Mad Dog and Englishman, and you were just, gigantic. And then, you began to have a problem with a career. Do you want to tell people exactly what happened?
Well, as the people are fickle, who buy records and things. But I mean, I more or less took 2 years off, and just sort of in a state of depression. I mean, a lot of it managerial.
Yes, that's always a big problem, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
To find the right person. What'd you do during those 2 years?
I often wonder, I bought myself a van and just drove around England, in the summertime.
Yeah.
And, just sort of just thinking on music and where I could take it from there,
Were you bitter about the fact that your career had taken an unkind turn?
Well, just, Alison, just the wear and tear on your health, like...
Yeah.
It was pretty grueling, the Mad Dogs and Englishman thing.
I don't think a lot of the fans understand that thoroughly. Joe, can you give me a capsule? What's a day like when you're on tour?
More or less just, it depends if you want to go out and boogie after the gig, that's when it can get to be extraneous. But I mean, I usually get up and we're straight on an aeroplane, and then by the time you've checked in the hotel, it's more or less time to go on stage, just about.
It's awfully difficult to avoid going out after a show, isn't it? Because you're kind of up from the show and you can't go home and go to sleep.
Right, that's definitely. I always have to find a bar somewhere and just sip a few brandy Alexanders or something.
And hang out and wait for yourself to come down, right?
Mm-hmm. Except they always want you to get up and sing one in the bar,
Yeah, there's a lot of imposing on a star's time and ability, isn't there?
Well, kind of, that's true.
It's all in the game, but it does take a lot.
I don't mind once in a while, just if there's a decent blues band or something playing, just getting up and doing a quick 12-bar, but
not as a regular thing.
68.
That was America.
Well, the record was initially a number one in England. When the charts, that was the whole thing. The top 20 was, no one acknowledged you at all unless you're in there.
Yeah, right. What was the one thing that did it?
Well, what do you mean music?
Well, into the
United States, as far as...
No, even in England. What'd you think you were going to do when you were growing up? Joe, can you remember back to your original start in the business? I've never had the pleasure of meeting you before, and I don't think we ever talked about how it actually came about. You came from England.
Yeah.
And how did you get into music initially?
I was bent on getting some recognition for being a rock singer.
At what age?
From about 13.
Well, that's enough. Yeah. And at what point did it begin to happen?
Not until with a little help from my friends, right? Which was 67.
Who was it that did it for you? Was it one person? Was it someone who saw you? Was it someone you went to? What was the actual circumstance?
Well, Chris Blackwell was... Denny Cordell, actually, I give credit to for, the most help. He runs Shelter Records,
yes.
Denny. And he put me on to Chris Blackwell as far as a manager went. Chris Blackwell then put me on to D. Anthony, famous D, in the States here. And, that was...
And that was it.
Mm-hmm.
Away they went. They got you the record contract. You made the album, and the rest is history.
Yeah.
If you had it all to do over again, from the beginning, if we were all given the chance to roll back the tape, would you do it in any other way? What would you change about the way you did it?
Oh, Lord.
Well, maybe give me a for instance, What's the first thing that pops into your head?
I don't know. I'd probably, I probably wouldn't have worked with the same people, in a lot of the cases.
You think that working with other people might have allowed your career to take a different turn?
I don't know, listen, I don't think I could even assess all this,
Yeah. No, it's all guesswork, Joe. But,
but no, I suppose I would have had a bit more hair on my head if I had done it my own way.
What was the high spot of your career, or what has been thus far, Joe? What do you think has been the zenith of your accomplishment, the thing you're most proud of? If you never did another thing after today, what's the thing that you'd point to with the most pride?
I'm sorry, I can't handle that one either, because
you feel equally about all
it's definitely yet to come. I'd love to write.
That. So far, what song do you think that you've written that you think is most indicative of your talent as a writer?
Let me see.
Suppose I wanted to co-write with you and you wanted to convince me you were good. What song would you show me or play for me?
A song called Woman to Woman, perhaps,
Yeah, that's a nice one. When you say it's yet to come, you want to write an album of originals and record it? Yeah.
I'd love to write an album, of originals,
Why is that so important to you?
Because, like I'm a lyricist, and even when you select other people's material, you can't really get over just what's, inside yourself. But, if you actually deliver in your own words, people can get a lot more insight into the being.
In other words, do you feel that you can give more of yourself in writing lyrics than in performing on stage?
No. I have faith in myself as an interpreter of other people's songs.
Mm-hmm.
But
here.
But to I just like to really get deeply into, revealing my own sort of music.
Are you a shy person, basically, Joe?
I can get that way, yeah.
Yeah, I get the feeling you're kind of very private, and a little wall is there, and you only let people so far.
Mm.
Is it that, do you distrust people, generally? And I don't mean that in a negative way, but are you cautious about people?
These days, yeah.
Why?
Because I tend to attract a lot of zanyism, you know.
Oh.
Like I live in LA and
Join the club, yeah.
life in Los Angeles, you know. I mean, like, good God, I don't know. I had very little life, you know, in the last 2 or 3 years, just because of the, you know.
It's no different here. No different here. Do you tend to feel that a lot of people who approach you are intent upon using you?
I don't know about actually, you know, I've got pretty good insight into character these days to know if someone's deliberately trying to use me.
You go on gut reaction, is that it? Just instinct?
Yeah, right.
Is your instinct the kind that the printout comes in the first "Hi, how are you," or do you have to really get into a person?
Well, as far as working with anyone these days, I can work and know that we can only take things so far in some cases, you know, and work on which is not as good as working like with full trust, you know, people. But like with lawyers and things like that, you know, it's a gamble for anyone, isn't it?
Yeah, it certainly is. What about personal relationships? Is it you have to wait a while, or is it something that tells you whether it's a go or a no?
Well, that's pretty spontaneous, you know, you know, as far as digging anyone's concerned, yeah.
Well, it's digging is one thing, but also having an immediate kind of trust and confidence is something else. Some people get it immediately and say, yes, that's a good person, and they'd never hurt me. And other people can't get that until they've had some relationship of either conversation or more before they can develop.
Well, I can often suss out, you know, when someone's got, you know, some hostility in them. But, I mean, that's part of the game with those people. You never reveal to them that you know what they're about, you know.
Yeah, I bet you're a good poker player.
I just started playing a game called Crazy Eights, I think, which is for kids, but I've never played poker.
Tell me about Crazy Eights. Now, what is it?
It's just a card game.
How do you play it?
Well, it would take me too long to explain. Really.
Will you show it to me sometime?
Yeah.
I've just learned another new one from one of the guys from Kiss.
Oh, yeah.
Ace Frehley taught me how to play AC Doocy.
Oh, yeah.
Cost me $150, which I lost to him to learn it, but I never had so much fun in my life.
Yeah.
Tell me about this album, Joe, about the work on this album. Now, the fun cut.
Fun time.
Fun time cut. I call it fun because it's just a fun cut. Did you have any feeling about that when you did it? Did you that it might be a happening?
A 45 or whatever?
Or a hit. Never mind how you do it, you know, just...
Right, well, I mean, Alan Toussaint, when he played me that song, you know, I mean, I could hear it as a hit the way Alan sang it, but the way I did it, I wasn't quite sure what, you know, charm it had got.
It's got charm. It's certainly, well, obviously, it's done quite well. What's your favorite cut on this album?
I think I like a song called "Lady Put the Light Out."
You like,
yeah. I mean, I'm a sucker for a ballad, you know.
No question.
If it's a good one.
No question. I would think, I mean, I'm just guessing, but just in conversation how I feel, everyone's favorite Joe Cocker album is that, the tour album, you know, Mad Dogs and Englishmen. What was your favorite one on that album?
Maybe The Girl from the North Country.
I thought the Blue Medley was just about the best thing in the whole world. You really had a blues roots kind of background. That's what started you off, isn't it? Loving the blues?
Yeah, that's right. Just, you know, researching in from, like, the wane of rock and roll, you know. And, you know, from Ray Charles, I just sort of dug back into the archives of, you know, it was a fad anyway at the time in England, but I mean, you know, for the blues. But I mean, a genuine love of it, you know, to find just
some of the stuff that you had on that
Muddy Waters and
just,
right back to the beginning.
Just great. Tell me about your lifestyle now, Joe. You live in Los Angeles.
Yeah.
Where? You know, city, country, hills?
No, I just live in a little north of LA. I just took Highway 1, you know, and so I'm not moved into the house yet. This latest house of mine.
Yeah.
But I mean, I have finally made a few friends in Hollywood. you know.
Yeah, you were living here in Connecticut, weren't you? Someplace up here in New England, Westchester? Or am I thinking of someone else? No. Okay, I'm mistaken then. When you made friends now in Hollywood, are they Hollywood people? Are they musicians? Or are they totally disconnected?
Well, there's a different sort of Hollywood, you know, right?
Yes, there's Hollywood and there's Hollywood.
Right. Well, this is Hollywood. You know? Just a few earthy people, you know,
yes.
that have managed to survive the other sort of nonsense.
What does it take to be a survivor in that town or in this business, Joe? You're a survivor, obviously. You're still here. You've been through a lot and you're here. Now, what do you think it is that brought you here?
Just the fact that, I don't have any suicidal tendencies, you know.
You just keep on trucking, right?
Yeah.
Is that it?
Mm-hmm.
So it would be fortitude.
Sure.
Stamina?
You know, I could go and live in the jungle. I may do that sometime in my life, you know.
You think that would be rewarding, living in the jungle?
Be informative.
All right. So then you have an inquiring mind, which is a good case for survival. And I guess stamina, because there's a lot of negatives attached to being a star, aren't there?
Sure, yeah.
What are some of them?
Well, just I don't know, the fact that people tend to think you have an advantage over them, you know. That
they only knew.
I remember seeing a young girl one day, just on the side of the road, you know, out in the countryside, who knew me. And she said, "Ooh, I wish my guardian angel was with me all the time." And I thought, if you only knew.
If you only knew, oh gosh. What are some of the advantages, the one that pops into your mind first?
Well, I could jump a movie queue and get into clubs easy enough.
Yeah,
things
that's
like that.
about the size of it. Yeah, that's about the size of it. What do you think of rock music today? The way it's happening now. I mean, you think it's good, healthy, better than when you started out, worse?
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's in the doldrums, but I mean it's sort of lost a little weight, you know.
Yeah.
But the growth, you know, it's not irreparable. I'm sure it's coming round again, you know.
It's just a time of, I know there's a word for it, I can't think of it. It's a lull, a slump, I think. Mm-hmm. There's an awful lot of what I call homogeneous music. You know, it's good music, but there's nothing exciting about it.
Right.
You know, it's just lays in there someplace in the middle.
No identity to it.
Yeah. Have you followed some of the people, the new stars of today?
No. I just get hear little shots every now and then. But I mean, say out of the punk regime, I couldn't really tell you any. I mean,
not punk. I don't think you'd relate to that. Who of the current crop of stars impresses you as a talent?
Well, give me an example.
Well, you've got all the big groups. I mean, you've got groups like Boston and Foreigner and Pablo Cruz, and you've got the singers like Bruce Springsteen and Patti Smith and Jackson Browne, people like that.
I mean, the guys, you know, I've got a young band at the moment called American Standard Band, and they're all in their 20s, and when we swap references, you know, they listen to just about every bit of brand new music. You know, they're always talking like Foreigner and stuff, and I just get, I mean, there's just sort of certain cuts I like by you know, some of the groups they play.
Things when you hear them, yeah.
But I couldn't sort of put my finger.
You don't make it a point, in other words, to find out what everybody else is doing. It's of no value to you.
Well, I just like to listen to jazz and.
You like jazz?
Yeah.
What kind of jazz? Just improvisation?
Ornette Coleman and. You know.
That's unusual. You've never tried to incorporate that into anything you do, though.
Not for a long time. I haven't. No.
Might you at some future date? You think it's possible?
Well, I mean, I can sing a song with a swing beat, you know, once in a while.
Yeah, you've managed it for a while. If I say I'm your fairy godmother, I'm going to give you one wish, Joe. Well, I'll do it if I'm going to get a kiss. What's the wish going to be?
Lord, one wish. Good health. I mean, to stay with in my good health to stay with me.
Couldn't ask for more than that, because if you got your health, you got everything else. One more thing I want to ask you, and that is, what is the traditional Cocker family way of spending Christmas?
Together, right? I mean, I usually see my brother and his children, and my mother and father,
You have a
and the girlfriend back home, you know, and her baby. So I know last year I didn't do it for the first time, you know, and spent the first Christmas in the States. It felt very strange, you know.
Did it? You felt lonely?
Well, you know, because we usually get a bit of snow where I grew up,
Yes.
you know, and always makes it seem just right, you know.
What's the
For the kids, yes.
What's the tradition in the Cocker household? Is it Christmas Eve, the big night, or is Christmas Day?
Christmas Day,
And
the
you-
dinner, you know, with
The dinner, and what is the dinner?
turkey,
Yes.
and stuff in,
Yeah.
you know, the roast taters
And the whole thing.
yeah,
And the tree, of course.
yeah, and the kids, right.
And that's most important.
Well, and then getting round to the boozer and swill a few pints of ale.
How are you going to spend this Christmas, do you think? Will you have to be here, or do you think you get to go home?
I get to go. I get to see everyone this Christmas.
You're
Yeah.
going home.
Mm-hmm.
That's wonderful. And then New Year's is going to come up. I don't know whether they do it where you come from, but of course Americans traditionally lie a lot on New Year's Day and make resolutions about all the things they're going to do the coming year. Do you
Yeah.
ever do that?
Well, I usually say I'm going to lose weight. Yeah, something like that. You know.
Would that be your pick for a resolution this year?
Right, as always. But I know I'll never get anywhere with it. You know.
Oh, never say never. Is it
Well, I'm not one for physical exercise. You know.
you're not inclined to sports?
Not really, love. No.
And diet, forget it. I needn't mention that, right?
Well, beer will do it to you every time. Won't it?
And you like beer.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we'll have to think of some new magical way to fulfill your resolution.
But I haven't made one yet.
Are you going to make one this year?
Well, you were saying that would probably be it. Yeah.
It would be it. Okay. Well, a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Because I won't see you before then, and I'm sure you'll be around on the rock scene for a long, long time.
I hope you have a good year too, Alison.
Thank you so much.
Right.
Thank you, Joe.
Thank you.
Joe Cocker, and this is The Nightbird, Alison Steele, brought to you by the Army Reserve.
Right.
You want a Christmas promo from Joe? Merry Christmas and Happy New Year, or Happy Holidays, however you would say it.
Uh-huh. I can just roll?
Whenever you're ready.
Okay. Hello, this is Joe Cocker. I'd like to wish you all a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And I'll be on the inside track with the Nightbird, Alison Steele. So give it a listen, all right?
Perfect.
Great.
Right.
Thank you so much.
Allie, can we just have a straight one?
A straight what?
A straight promo without the Merry Christmas, New Year. This way we can use it afterwards, too.
Okay, yeah. There's no way on the inside track, yeah. Hello, this is Joe Cocker, and I'll be on the inside track with the Nightbird, Alison Steele. So please tune in.